Be careful.
He's and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
And welcome to the Acement, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
And thanks for joining us. I hope you guys have enjoyed the last couple of weeks. We've had some great episodes. Craig Shoemaker, Bob Nelson. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
big time.
Yes. Had
Bigly time. We've been bigly now.
Huge.
We've been huge.
And it's not
I
just
probably
me.
should stop
Come
doing
on.
It's not just me saying it. Everyone's saying it, okay?
You know, you are correct. Last week when you had almost no voice, you were nailing that.
Right?
impression.
It's the only impression that still works.
That was the one
when I have
you
laryngitis.
nailed when you had laryngitis. But anyway, as you can see, our guest is in studio this week. We love when we do that because we get to share our bourbon date of the week. And our bourbon date this week is courtesy of Mr. Ace Aceto and his visit to Lexington, Kentucky.
Yes,
to the Buffalo Trace Distillery.
Where we will definitely go next year
Oh,
at some point.
Hell to the yeah.
So if there are any Kentucky comics that are listening who would like to be on a half-ass podcast, who's just looking for a
Way to sell
half-ass excuse
Way to sell it.
to get back down to Kentucky
Yep.
and go on a bourbon tour.
Or if
and-
any of our listeners know some Kentucky comics,
Yeah.
message it to us. We'll reach out to them. We'd
honestly,
love to talk to some people.
even if you know anyone in Kentucky, we'll just, if you know homeless in Kentucky, we'll we'll interview them.
The head manager at the local Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Exactly.
We'll bring him on.
We will do
don't
the
care.
KFC/bourbon tour. But yes, Buffalo Trace, very, very good.
Oh, they definitely are, like we talked about, Angel's Envy being one of our favorites, Jefferson, Buffalo Trace. They have several really, really high-end bourbons. Definitely check out any of their brands. Last week we had their Weller Special Reserve. This week the Buffalo Trace. Fantastic. So definitely check them out. Cheers to you, my co-host. Cheers to our guest.
Cheers to our guest. And we're so excited because this is a guy we have talked about countless number of times on this show.
Absolutely.
About how funny he is, how much we love him, and then we don't see him that much. So we're gonna talk a little bit, and I don't know if I should announce you by just your name or Lord Tony Moschetto, because that's how you are on the socials. Is Lord Moschetto?
Yeah. Right.
Where'd that come from?
Oh, that's a good question. That's so back in the day.
Yeah.
When I was doing open mics and stuff,
Yeah.
I did a comedy competition down here at Periwinkle's.
Oh, get out!
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
You've been around.
Yeah, this is early 90s.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Remember
because
that?
like Periwinkle's closed like 92, 93.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So they used to have a competition, right?
Yeah, every year the WBRU.
Yeah. So I did like a preliminary one, right? And I came in first.
Yep.
And I got like a little trophy that night.
Yep.
And I was with Jack Lynch.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
another comic. And I said, by winning this tonight, this makes me the king of the open micers. Right? So for a while, I was the king of the open micers. And then it gradually grew. And then I was like, I kept
Elevating
promoting
yourself.
myself. Yeah.
So
and
now
finally
you're
the
a
Lord
lord.
of comedy.
I love it.
That's how
It came
Lord
about.
Came about, yeah.
Hey, if no one else is going to promote you,
That's right. You got to do it
do
on
it
your
yourself.
own.
Right.
You know?
absolutely.
I started my ascent at Chi-Chi's in Peabody.
Oh, Chi-Chi's. Was
Chi-Chi's
that
restaurant?
the restaurant?
Yeah, they did an open mic.
Get out.
So after I was
that
king of
the
open
first place
micers-
you did comedy?
No, that was after I became king.
Oh, okay. You started your ascent.
That was
just
my
started
ascent.
to
his
your
ascent.
lordship.
Yeah, right there.
To
Yeah,
your
that was-
lordship. Okay.
That's
okay.
hilarious.
And ask Jack Lynch. He's the Duke of Medford.
Oh, he didn't
I
bring
wish
that
we
up.
would have known
I
that
wish
when we had
knew
him on.
that. Yeah, we had him on a couple of months ago,
Yeah,
and
I
he didn't even mention it.
He might be the
Duke of Medford.
he was the Duke of Medford. And I think he's more like he's of the East Coast now.
Oh,
Yeah, so
he's on the coast.
I promoted him too.
Well, you have lordship, so you can anoint
I
people.
can, yeah.
and
exactly.
promote
You could do
them.
the
You have
sword
that
thing.
power.
I do, yeah. So
That's impressive.
I have a plastic sword in the other room. If you want to take it with you, you can.
I
knighthood
anoint
people.
thee,
Yeah, exactly.
lordship.
So I didn't realize you had been to Periwinkle's because I know you've been doing it a while, but I didn't realize that long. So what year did you start? And what was the first place? Chi-Chi's or did you go?
You got to work.
You
your
gotta
way
work
up
your
to
way up. I
Chi-Chi's.
get
You
it.
don't just
Yeah.
walk through the door. Chi-Chi's.
No.
You don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have to have a few years under your belt.
Under your belt
before
to
you
get to Chi-Chi's. You
yeah.
got to do a few Applebee's and
Right,
99 restaurants.
A couple of Chinese joints.
Yeah.
Well, back then
Oh.
it was the ground round.
Everything was
You had-
Chinese places.
You had to walk on the
Yeah.
crunchy peanut shells on the floor in the ground round and
That's
do your
true.
set.
I started in '91.
All right. Yeah.
And
So
I
it was
did,
a couple of years after me because I
remember-
started 89.
Right. Okay. Do you remember Maria Falzoni?
Yeah,
Right?
of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
So I took a workshop with her. That was my first
Oh, really?
introduction into comedy.
Yep.
And then I did my first actual performance was at a gong show
Oh, really?
in this place in Middleton called Caniglieros.
Oh, all right.
My dad was he was a karaoke host.
Oh,
DJ.
really?
He's a musician.
Yeah.
DJ.
So you did a little bit of everything.
karaoke.
Yeah.
He was like one of the first guys to introduce karaoke.
Was he a judge and did he gong you?
No, he was the host of the show.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
But one of the judges, Rob Steen was on the show too.
Oh, really?
And I said, "Hey, what do I say if someone heckles me?" So he gave me a line,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
So one
how
of
it
the
starts,
judges
yeah.
heckled me.
Oh, really?
The judges?
Yeah, one of the judges heckled me, and I used one of Rob's line. I said, "Yeah, he's the only guy that can bang a Cheerio, not break it."
That's a good one.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's why you lost the contest.
and I lost the contest.
Because you
Yeah.
gave it back to him.
That's right.
And
dad
that judge
couldn't
was
help me.
Ronnie Sava. No, I'm kidding.
And he never worked a comedy
He-
palace
yeah,
after that.
exactly. No, I worked the Comedy Palace a bunch with you.
That's right. Yeah. What did I meet you?
so
Did I
funny.
meet you there?
I think that might have been because I started in 89, but Charlie Hall, who was my mentor, had said, look, don't try and go up to Boston too early. Get good down here. Get a good solid 5 to 10 minutes so that when you go to Boston, you're going to stand out from other open micers because
Yeah.
you'll have already kind of taken
if
your
you're gonna-
punches down here.
If you're going to prove yourself to the lords and
the ladies,
dukes.
yes, he said it. He said, "And seek out thy master, Lord Moschetto." But so it took me probably until '92 before I was going up up to Boston, and I think by '95 I was working up there a fair amount, and that was usually at Grill 93 at
Yeah.
the Comedy Palace, unless you were at Periwinkle's at times with me, and I don't remember it. Because I don't remember a lot.
I think the first time I met Tony was when Cal Verducci was taking me around because he helped me get started when I first started.
Okay.
And he was taking me around to places. And I remember there was a Monday night show because I was doing Monday nights at the Connection, Faneuil Hall, Noxie's night.
Yep.
Yes.
And then afterwards, Johnny Joyce had a show in, I think it's Somerville, at a bar that he did, and a bunch of people would leave the Connection and go to Johnny's show
Okay.
and do spots there.
Yep.
And I think Cal introduced me to you there because I remember meeting a lot of people there
Okay.
that used to either do spots or hang out there after the Monday night shows.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that was a long time
But
ago.
Cal,
Yeah,
Cal
right?
introduced me to a lot of people that had been around already. Because I started in 2001, and end of 2001.
Sure.
A Scott Odyssey, 2001.
Yes.
Scotticy.
I sell those T-shirts after
Yes,
shows.
you should.
That's a good
a Scotticy.
2001, a Scotticy. So that first time on the Gong Show, how did you do? Did you really get gonged
it's-
because of that, or?
I think I would have gotten gonged unless
Yeah.
I zing. If I didn't zing him, I think I would have gotten gonged.
Oh, so that got you the big laugh.
Yeah.
And
But
that,
I mean, it was awful.
yeah. But did that?
But
make
it didn't
you
deter
say,
you.
right? Yeah. What made you get back up on stage the next time?
Oh, I don't know. I
Stupidity, alcohol,
Well,
a whole myriad of things
Yeah,
could have done it,
exactly.
right?
Those are usually linked.
Yeah, exactly.
there's so many bad decisions we make in life, you know.
Right,
That's-
especially as comics.
Exactly. I think the next show was my graduation night.
Oh, from Maria's class.
Yeah, we did at
Okay.
Giggles.
Oh, wow.
Nice place to do a
Yeah.
graduation show.
show.
So
yeah.
that was fun. And then, comedy was like the first time in my life where I could go somewhere by myself and feel like not feel like an outcast.
Part of something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because everyone that was there was kind of the same
Yep.
boat you
We're
were.
all going up on stage to do our stuff alone. We don't have anyone else to depend on
Yeah.
but ourselves. But then we come off stage and it's this brotherhood and sisterhood.
It was the
and
first
this camaraderie.
Right.
Yeah.
The first time we had a sense of belonging
Exactly.
was with this
'Cause
group of
usually we are the
outcasts.
outcasts. Yeah.
Because in
We're
real
the
life,
island
we
of
were, all,
misfits.
we were all outcasts,
We were,
but we
yeah.
come together. Yeah, the island of misfit toys.
Yeah.
Well, every new comic is a creep,
Right.
right?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Like you're just like a creepy person.
A
you know?
weirdo.
A weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I fit in with those guys. And it was,
Right.
And it was a good way to get out of the house and
Yeah, give you something to do on a Monday or a Tuesday or a
It
Wednesday.
was a whole different world, and I didn't really do, I wasn't really, first year or two was just,
Yeah.
what the hell am I doing?
Right.
But
yeah.
I kept going back and I enjoyed it, and
Yeah.
sometimes.
All you needed is that one laugh to make you come
Exactly.
back the next show.
Yeah,
Right.
you're chasing that laugh. You get the one laugh and then you keep coming
It's
back.
like crack. We
It
talk
really
about
is.
it all the time. It's and that's the difference between someone who's truly a comic is there are people who go up there, have a bad set, and go, yeah, I'm done. I tried it. There's people that go up and have a great set and go, yep, that was on my bucket list, crossing it off. But a comic, you could do great and you're like, I need that rush again. Or you could do shitty and you're like, I know I can do better. I'm going back up next
Yeah.
week. It's so weird. We're so like, we're fucked up.
And we think about
know?
back when you started, you'd go to these open mics and you saw a lot of the same people. But 10 years later, how many of those same people did you see?
Right.
20 years later.
Yeah.
And now, how many of them are still actually doing comedy?
it dwindles.
Yeah.
Very-
I bet, yeah.
And isn't it amazing? There's people that you used to be jealous of that aren't even doing it anymore.
That's right.
Like, I won't mention names, but there was someone that Ronnie at the Grill 93 loved, thought he was great, moved him up from being a host to a feature, but it wasn't because he was that funny. He played this character, and the character just didn't do well. Some people, they're such a character, they don't do well hosting.
Yeah.
Because they're still in their character, and the
Right.
character is
Right.
kind of an antisocial weirdo.
Okay.
And so this guy doesn't even do it anymore. But Ronnie Savit thought he was the greatest comic. He was going to be famous. He was going to be big. I don't know what the kid's doing now.
Oh, I wish I.
I'll tell you after the show
Okay.
who it
I'm
is.
I'm trying to guess who it
Well,
is.
and I see it sometimes with some of the younger kids nowadays.
Yeah.
Is they get hot for a little while because they're new, they stand out a little bit.
They got
and
some
everything,
talent, they're
and
talented.
It goes right to their head, and you're like, dude, come and see me in 5 years, 10 years. If you're still doing this, great, then you
Right.
got it. I'm not saying you don't, but I've seen a lot of guys that all of a sudden, a year or two in,
Yeah.
they hit this streak and they're doing really well for themselves, which is awesome. But sustaining it is a totally different thing.
And how do you deal with it after that streak goes downhill? You know what I mean? Like after that, yeah. Well,
Heroin.
some of them, yeah. But I mean, listen,
80s, early 90s, it was cocaine.
Yeah.
Now it's bourbon.
I was 2 years in. I was on Comedy Central.
Yeah.
2 years in, I haven't gotten anything on like big network TV since.
Right.
But I'm still doing it. You know what I mean? Everyone gets that little bit of taste, and you see it now with guys that are like. And I know we've talked about it, and I'm not talking about Matt Rife because that kid has been actually working for a while.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize about him is he's not
Right.
like 2 years in. He's been doing this for
for
like
a good
12,
10 or 12 years,
10 to 12
right?
years.
But it's those people that get on TikTok and they have one big viral video, and it's like 30 seconds of their 5-minute act, and
Yeah.
they blow up. And it's like, yeah, I feel bad for someone like that because they don't have the skills to come up with another killer bit for a little while. And in that time, You're yesterday's news.
Well, and we've also heard is that clubs will book them because they're the hot thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they show up and they can only do like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, and they don't have. I mean, like you said, they don't have an act really. you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
They haven't found their voice.
No.
They just happen to have a clip that hit that's really funny. But
Yeah.
that's like me, 30 years ago doing the Gilbert Gottfried and Bobcat Goldthwait. If TikTok was around, I would have been killing. Kill it, Jerry. I tell you. No.
What? No. That's, yeah, I'm not.
Scott,
You want me to
leave it
do the
alone.
Norm
Scott,
Macdonald? Is that
This
what it
is
not-
really good bourbon.
Oh, shut up.
Scott was not believing what you
No,
were saying.
I know.
Oh, you know what? That's because that guy Scott, he's gay. That's my Norm Macdonald. That one sounds pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
like that
remember,
one.
I remember we used to bring the trumpet on stage.
I still do.
You still do?
Yeah, why not?
Hey,
I'm going to
if
do
it still
everything I
work-
possibly can.
Oh.
If it still works,
Stupid fucking joke still works.
don't put, you don't pack
Listen,
it up and put it away.
The joke is 34 years old, but Davy and Goliath is 50 years old. So
It's still, yeah.
it's still it's not relevant, but it still brings back memories to people
Yeah.
who are in our age range.
It's so
Crazy.
funny because depending on the crowd, you got everybody 40 and over laughing their ass off, and
And
everyone under 40 Googling who the fuck is Davey and Goliath.
Exactly. But that's why. And later on in the show, when I do Family Guy,
Yep,
the
it
younger
draws them
kids
right
are
in.
laughing, and the older people are going, "Who the fuck is Family Guy? And what is Google?"
Yes,
Yes.
yeah.
But so yeah, that's kind of the similar story that we hear from a lot of other comics is you knew that you wanted to get up there and do it again.
yeah.
You're chasing that laugh. And so what was the first big break that you had where you were like, wow, I got asked to open up for this big name act, or I can't believe I got to play at this place, or
Yeah, that's
First time you felt like a comic.
yeah,
I like
not just an open micer, not just the king
Right.
or lord of open mics.
well, let me see. I went to New York to
Okay.
I think what year was it? 95, I think, or 94, something like that. And I auditioned at the comic strip.
Yep.
Now you go wait in
Yeah,
line,
right,
get a number,
right.
and you go back, and then the host picks someone to come back and audition for Lucian.
Yeah,
Right.
Right. So I did that, and I had like an unbelievable set
Yeah.
that night, and I got picked to come back. But what I didn't know was there was some people from Comedy Central.
Oh,
Remember
really?
that show Stand Up, Stand Up?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was on
Yeah.
in
that was,
'91.
Yeah. So I drove back to Massachusetts that night, and then I got a call the next day,
Yep.
and they saw me that night, and they want me to go down to Charlotte, North Carolina, and
Oh
tape.
wow.
So that's when I felt
Holy
like
shit.
it was kind of like a cool, like a
Oh, hell yeah.
you know what I mean? It was like out of the blue, and
But again, you're sitting there going, "I'm 4 years in. I'm already on TV. I'm
and
getting an
I'm
offer.
like-
This is awesome.
I'm like,
This-
maybe-
this fucking business is easy.
yeah, and you're sitting there going, all right, maybe I'm onto something here,
Yeah.
you know? And so it was like such a high, and
Well,
it was so unexpected.
You know, especially then because you didn't have the tools like YouTube and TikTok and the things nowadays.
Right.
You had to have a moment like that where somebody saw you
Right.
and wanted to put you on a TV show, or you
Yeah.
didn't get out there for these type of things.
I just had, I would say this. It was, I want to say it was luck. It was a lot of luck involved because I
timing.
I got like, they had auditioners that were auditioning for this, and I was like the first spot after the auditioners.
Yeah.
So the crowd was, I was like
Already
fourth.
warmed up.
They were warm. It was like just a perfect spot.
Right.
Right.
And
That's
I-
what I mean. Timing.
You know?
You,
Yeah.
Where you were on
Right
the show,
place,
the
right
night,
time. But-
just everything fell in line.
Yeah.
for
And you also had to be funny though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I had
know,
a great
which you
set.
you had at that
Right.
point. 4
Yeah.
years in, you're kind of starting to find your voice. You know.
Now to jump back a little bit, when you were growing up, did you have brothers and sisters?
I did, yeah. I grew
Yeah,
up
he's
with-
got a
Older,
sister-
younger?
I have 2 younger sisters.
You're the oldest,
Yeah.
Wow.
which is very rare, by the way. We've been
7 years of doing
we have
this.
we have 329
You
episodes.
said the
out.
middle child is?
Usually
middle
it's
and
the
youngest.
middle and the
Okay.
youngest.
Yeah.
So what's Ellen?
She's the youngest.
She's the youngest,
Yeah.
and his sister Ellen is
Yeah,
a comic too.
she's a
right.
comic too.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You're just the
Well-
anomaly.
Well, yeah, she was the so-called funny one in the.
Growing up,
Growing up,
yeah, no
yeah.
one thought you were funny.
No
they
one
just
thought
thought
I
you were
was funny.
quiet, right?
Yeah, I was just kind of.
But at some point growing up, and I used to call it the superpower because I pulled it out, with bullies when I was growing up and everything, but at some point you realize I can be funny on command. When I want to be, I can flip the switch and be funny. Do you remember a point in your life when you were growing up when you're like, man, I can just be funny when I want to be? Were you a class clown or
I was
anything
not
like
a class
that?
clown. I was probably more quiet
Yeah.
and reserved. But when I got comfortable in certain situations,
Then you would come out.
I would come out of my shell.
Yeah.
So what made you want to get in front of a crowd of strangers and do it?
Well, I was going to broadcasting school, and I took that workshop to learn how to write jokes.
Yeah.
But Maria said, I go, I just want to do this as a hobby, and because I want to do the radio. She's like, no, comedy is not a hobby. It's
Maria's
it's like a way
serious,
of
right?
life. You can't think like that. And I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but I just got hooked on it because it was the instant,
gratification of that getting that laugh,
feedback,
right?
Yeah. It was that kind of that feeling, and then it was the other thing. Like I fit in. I felt like I fit in with people.
Right.
Right.
And I felt like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
It's walking a tightrope because you're up there by yourself trying to balance, and if you do great, you make it all the way across, which is the end of your set.
Yeah.
If you don't, you tumble over and fall. It's
Right.
pretty ugly on the way down.
It is, and
you know. So,
but there's a point where you have to kind of become aware of like who you are,
right.
and you get like you said, find your voice.
Yeah.
And everybody,
You know?
that's different. That's
Yeah.
different for everybody.
Some people are fully formed. Like when they first get on stage, they have this character. They know what they're
Yeah.
doing. Other people, it takes years. Some people, they're still trying to find their voice long after.
Well, and I also
We all know those
Why is he
comics who
looking
should.
at-
No.
no.
We
We
know
we
know
have
a couple
people
of
we're talking
people that
about.
we've
All
thought of that, like, are still doing it.
I
and
know
you're
who
like,
he's talking about.
How can you? How can you have that many bad sets and still continue to go up?
It's like-
I
it's
know.
like self-awareness. You have to have that self-awareness.
I'm like, this
Yeah.
person's been doing it for 9 years. I've never seen them have a good set ever.
Right, right.
Not
Keep
even
coming
one
back.
good joke.
And they keep coming back. Yeah.
And it's like, God bless them.
Yeah.
They love it, obviously, but
they're
wow.
a success.
in their mind,
Hey,
yeah.
Good for them.
If they keep doing it, I guess.
Good for
it's
them.
Successful.
Good for
I
them.
don't know.
You-
I don't know. I think I feel like I'm a kind of a study or an example of a failed comedian in a way, right?
It's the power of positive thinking right there.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to like dump on myself here.
Yeah.
But I chased it for a while.
Yeah.
For a long
Like
time.
seriously chased
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And then there's a point where you just I just stepped back
Yeah.
and I took some time off, and then I came back probably about a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
right? And now like I have a whole different perspective,
Of course.
Yeah.
And it feels good to kind of reinvent yourself.
Yep.
But now I can really appreciate comedy and watching a show.
Yeah.
And laughing at other people, opposed to before when you're like kind of jaded and
Yeah.
you don't want other people to be successful and
Yeah.
like that kind of feeling. And
Yeah.
so now it's a totally different
Way of looking at it. Yeah.
attitude. So now
I'm still jaded.
you're still jaded. Yeah.
No, but we've talked about it before because, I chased it. I wanted to move to New York, ended
Yeah.
up not moving to New York, got married, had 3 kids, got divorced and everything. I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, look, I've got a great day job. I love doing what I do during the day. I love still making people laugh. Let's face it. We all worked with Bill Burr.
Yeah.
So fucking happy for him
I know.
at how successful he is.
It's insane.
But honestly, I know I'm never going to get to that, but I still get to do the same job. We
Yeah.
still get to get up and make people laugh, which is the whole reason why we got into this in the first
Yeah.
place.
Right, yeah.
I didn't get into it to become famous, believe it or not. I just, because friends of mine said, oh my God, your impressions are so good, you should do comedy. And I just finally tried to do it. And I wanted to make
yeah.
bigger groups laugh than
Yeah.
just a group of friends, you know?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
I heard Louis C.K. say that one time in an interview that he was in Boston and he said there was this group of guys in Boston, like the Sweeneys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He goes, they were like this Mount Olympus of comedians. And I would just watch them walk up on stage and just make everybody laugh any moment they were on stage. And he goes, and my goal when I started comedy was I just want to be one of those guys.
Yeah.
He goes, that's all I wanted. I just want to be one of those guys. And people say that's the healthiest attitude you can have when you go in it. Because if you say, I'm going to become a comic and make a lot of money, you forget it. Forget it.
Right.
You got the wrong attitude.
Yeah.
When you're like, I just want to be on stage, and that's all I wanted to too.
Yep.
Is I loved comedy, and I just wanted to. I felt I could do it, and I just wanted to prove to myself, not anybody else, prove to myself I could actually stand there and do it. And then once I did it, I was like, oh, I got to do it again.
Yeah.
I got to do it again.
Then you get
and that's all. That
hooked in.
That's all I wanted to do was just to do it. To prove to myself,
Right.
that nobody, no one else is doing this with me. I don't need anybody's help. It's me by myself. I'm either going to fail or succeed on my own, and I did it. So that's what it was important for me to try it.
Yeah, and you're still doing it. So,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So let me ask you this: when you started to find your voice, because your act, so I loved you. I loved working with you because I would be laughing even sometimes when the audience was looking like, "What did he?"
Oh, yeah.
Like, because your act is quirky, or at least I haven't seen it in a while, but.
Yeah,
It was
still.
It's still. But whenever you would go, I want to come down in a robe. Oh, I would lose it, and the audience was. It would take them a little bit to get it. They eventually did get it. Like, I don't want to make it sound like Tony doesn't get laughs.
No, but a lot of his stuff, it takes them
It
a
takes them
second of thinking.
Right. So when did you find that, or were you already there? Is that why you were the quiet, mellow kid? Because you looked at things in a different way than most people.
Yeah, I think it was there was some point, a few years in where I wasn't, I was doing my jokes, right?
Yeah.
But I'd watch other people and I'd observe like the laughs they're getting versus the laughs I'm getting in my jokes, right?
Yeah.
Because there's jokes.
Were you not doing act outs at the time? You were
wasn't
just
doing
kind
act
of
out- no.
you were just doing the Boston style of here's my setup, here's my punchline.
Yeah, it was a lot of polish. It wasn't deep into who I am and stuff. So when I started like just kind of being myself more
Yeah.
and not being afraid of just kind of
exposing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I found
Not in
it.
a bad way. I didn't mean that.
I didn't mean that in a
I
gay
didn't
way. Yeah. I'm not saying the guys
these
are,
gays.
I'm not saying the guys are, pervert or nothing.
Sorry.
no.
No, don't get me going. He likes baiting me into doing impressions. So
I'm not going to do it, okay? Stop it, Deborah. Cut it out.
no. So you ended up feeling more comfortable with just being yourself.
That's how. Yeah, that's kind of how it
Yeah.
went down. Yeah,
And it evolved.
I think taking chances. I started taking risks.
Yeah.
Not afraid. And you get in that mindset where you're like, well, if I'm not afraid of bombing, if I don't fear that,
Right.
then I can
I
do whatever
anything.
I want. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's
That's a tough one. I'm still afraid of that.
that's I think what it is though now is you're not afraid to take a different concept or a different look at things or a different approach, and if it goes bad, you got plenty of ammo to come back and turn it around if you need to, and do so because you've been doing it long enough.
Yeah.
When, in the beginning,
Right.
when you're still trying to form who you are on stage and everything, those risks are a lot riskier because
Yeah.
nobody knows who you are yet. The crowd doesn't know who you are yet.
Right,
you haven't established yourself. And here you come out with something that they're not expecting. And because I had somebody tell me that one time, and they're like, okay, you start with this nice Family Guy thing. He goes, then you go into this dirtier material.
Right.
He goes, you established yourself as one guy, and then you become
And
this
then you
other
change it,
guy.
right.
And you made the crowd uncomfortable. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I did. They go, yeah, but you're like two different
People.
personas on stage.
Right. See,
He
I'm
goes,
I'm an asshole from like joke one. I'm calling J-Lo's ass fat. So people will expect clean and dirty from me just
Yeah.
because of that.
No, and that's what
I'm
he
establishing
said.
that smart ass.
He goes, kind of either if you're going to do both, that's fine. But maybe you do one joke in the beginning, kind of let them know there's going to be a little bit of both, or different sets on different nights type
Right.
of thing. He goes, but I think you confuse the crowd on who you are. It was a more seasoned comedian that told me that, and I was like, huh, that kind of makes sense because I was losing them when I went to dive into the dirtier stuff, but I didn't want to start with that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone told me, you want to do stuff that that makes them like you, and then
Right.
you can take it wherever you want.
Establish the
Not-
likability factor.
It depends on how far you push it once you think they like you.
Yeah.
'Cause if I start out weird,
Yeah.
sometimes it works, like it, but
Yeah.
sometimes it,
Depends on the set too. Like I'll take that back because I'm not afraid to bomb at an open mic.
Yeah,
And I
well,
don't know why. Maybe it's because, at this point I'm getting introduced as,
know what it
someone
is
who
at an open-
headlines and stuff like that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, all right, if you
At-
don't like this one, I'll throw in a good one.
At this point, we've all been doing it long enough that an open mic, it's not that you don't care, but you don't care about doing well because it's not a paid show. So you're not
Right.
afraid to just do whatever. And
yeah. I've taken a different tact.
Yeah.
Like I try to kill every show, even open mics.
Really?
And I don't do like, I don't waste the set and do just
Tried and true
Yeah.
material. Right, right.
Like I will structure the set where I know that I'm going to end strong.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
You're gonna do a good joke to open.
Yeah.
Try some new stuff, but you're gonna end
Yeah.
on something that's gonna make them remember you
Exactly.
as having a
Yeah.
good set.
So
you took time off, you came back.
came
Wait.
back. Yeah.
Before that, I want to get into
Oh, okay.
something because I remember this. The pumpkin contest.
Oh yeah. You ever,
Okay, I
He
love
shows
how
up
this
at a
is
show.
starting already.
It's almost like a Seinfeld episode. The pumpkin contest.
contest.
Yes, exactly.
Because I remember being at a show and I'm like, hey, what are you doing, Tony? He goes, I'm growing a pumpkin. I'm growing a pumpkin for a contest. The biggest pumpkin. What Topsfield Fair?
Topsail Fair, giant pumpkin contest.
Giant pumpkin contest. So what year was that? Did you do it multiple
That
years?
was I only did it 1 year. I think that was 2000. I did it.
It sounds about right.
Have you ever been to the reason they changed the rule?
No.
Okay.
No.
You are the reason
I'm
they
the
changed
reason
the rule.
They changed the rule. They have a minimum weight.
Okay.
Because the year I did it, mine was 67.6 pounds. Right, and it was the only. The guy's like,
It was the only one that could be lifted.
Well, yeah, I drive in. I put it in the backseat of my Camry, and I drive into the arena the night before, and there's like pickup trucks and forklifts,
Yeah.
With like
and I'm like
1,000-pound pumpkins.
and I'm bringing my pumpkin out, and the guy's like looking at me, and I'm like, no, I'm this is for real, And he goes, all right, don't worry about it. Like we put them in rows, and you'll be in a row with pumpkins 100 pounds or less, and I was like.
Who's growing a pumpkin up more than 100 pounds?
Yeah, and I'm like,
you had no idea
but
what
how
you were
did-
walking into,
but
did
how-
you?
No, I didn't. I'm like, how's this guy know? I'm like, you can't just judge,
Yeah, right.
I was like,
He's offended.
I was offended. I'm like, how do you know this is less than 100 pounds?
He's professional.
You know?
He's a professional pumpkin.
So he goes, I'm
Judge.
like, all right, so I'm not going to be the only one. So I go the next day. My pumpkin's the only one. Right?
You had your own
Did
row.
you win your division?
Yeah.
100 pounds or less goes to
100
Lord
pounds or less.
Moschetto.
Yes. And they were like shitting on me. They were like, oh, here we go. Here's the leader, and stuff like that.
In the 100-pound or less
They're like,
category.
Here's our first pumpkin, and they 67 boys. Oh, I guess that's our leader for now. Like
It's kind of like the guy on the wrestling team in high school that never has anybody in his weight division.
Yeah, yeah.
So he goes undefeated the entire season, but never wrestled a
it
person.
looked like a Tic Tac. You know what I mean? Like compared to all these
yeah.
other
Compared to
pumpkins.
theirs, yeah, right.
My wife's uncle used to do that at the Woodstock Fair in Connecticut every year, and he would have like 500-pound pumpkins.
Right.
These
They're so big that
humongous
they
pumpkins.
flatten.
Yeah.
As
Yes.
they're growing,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yours was nice and perfectly round.
It was like oval. But it was good. Nice. I have the video.
Do you really?
On my
On your
my
website?
my YouTube.
Accepting
channel.
your award.
Lord,
Good.
the guy in an orange tuxedo.
I'm David S. Pumpkins.
he was the guy like every year, orange tuxedo.
Oh my God, that's
You
hilarious.
know, the master of ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I had people shitting on me the whole day.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
But it was fun.
Do you talk about that on stage at all? Have you ever?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
actually
that-
a funny
that would be-
story.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
So I mean, it was funny. The next year, they're like, "Oh, we're not taking pumpkins
Under 100 pounds.
on 150 pounds."
Oh.
I'm like, "That's because of me."
You ruined it for all those smaller.
did.
So
pumpkin
there was
growers.
someone there with a 152-pound pumpkin.
Yeah, I think it was my pumpkin, and the next pumpkin up was it had to be like 250 or
Oh,
300,
wow.
something like that. It was a
Yeah.
It was pretty.
There was a bit of a
vast.
gap.
Yeah.
So as this as this thing was growing, were you like, oh, I can't fucking wait to get to
I'm
this
like, holy
contest, man.
shit.
I can't believe how big this
I've
goddamn
never had a
pumpkin
pumpkin
is.
I
this
didn't think
big
I was gonna
before.
win it,
But
I'm
you
like-
knew you
but I'm
you
like-
thought you were in the race.
I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna look like an ass.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna look like a total rookie. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
Little did you know.
Little did you know.
And the guy that wrote How to Grow Giant Pumpkins,
Yeah.
he's like, there's only there's only one place you can go. It's that's up. You
Yeah.
can't get any worse than He's like giving me shit.
Next year it could be 63 pounds.
Yeah.
You know? Oh my God.
But it's manure. That's the secret.
That's the secret.
Yeah, good
is
manure.
The good manure.
and good seeds.
Welcome to the FFA
I know.
podcast.
I feel like
Today
welcome-
we're
no.
talking about grown pumpkins.
Welcome to the 4-H Club podcast.
You know, this week Rich and I are going to talk about grown pumpkins.
That's hilarious. But
Oh
that's
my
true.
God.
So good seed.
I just want to see a video of him walking in, carrying his pumpkin, and being passed by a forklift carrying a 300-pound pumpkin.
pumpkin, right?
I got like if you go on my YouTube,
Yeah.
Okay.
Lord Moschetto,
Lord Moschetto on YouTube.
yeah.
All right.
Or you can get to it through my website,
All right.
but I have it on on video. I have
That's
I did
awesome.
I
That's
shot this whole
All right.
You know the sad part?
I wa-
a 62-pound pumpkin in a regular pumpkin patch would be massive.
67 pounds.
Oh, I'm
67.6.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
You're underselling
I didn't mean
it.
to undersell it. 67.6 would look massive next to most pumpkins in a pumpkin patch. You'd be like, wow, that's a freak of nature.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw it, you'd be like, wow, that's a
Impressive
giant.
pumpkin.
Yeah, but it wasn't giant. It was just big.
The
It
great
was just a
pumpkin
big
Charlie
guy.
Brown.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. You know what? I have to work with you again now. So I'm going to this next guy coming to the stage.
Yeah,
Is the winner of the 100-pound or less
Under
pumpkin.
100-pound pumpkin
I was.
category.
I just finished out of the top 100.
I saw that on your
It was
website.
101. Yeah.
It's 101
Out of 101.
out of 101, right?
That's
Hey,
such
listen.
a great story.
Last place is still
You know what they do?
worth it. You got a ribbon.
They 700 pounds or above.
Mm-hmm.
They carve it out, and it floats. They have like a.
Oh, the boat race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine-
Couldn't do
Seven-
yours.
Not mine. No.
He had to
At
find.
700
He had to look for a
pounds?
midget.
Yeah.
He had to go find a midget somewhere at the Topsfield Fair.
They're probably
Hey guys, wait up.
they're probably the average size is like 700 now.
Wow.
You know.
So when I don't know why I'm this enthralled with this, but when they ask when you said good seed,
Yeah.
like you have to get a seed from one of the other 700-pound pumpkins.
Yeah.
Like you just probably got a regular pumpkin seed and said,
I bought it.
I'm
in,
gonna
Yeah. I
at,
bought
like,
it in the
at a market basket in the seed
something like
section.
that.
Yeah.
Agway or something.
What do they call it? Like a what are those places? I can't think.
Like a
of the word.
nursery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one of those. Yeah.
And then you just got regular fertilizer and
I grew it in my dad's
Yeah.
backyard,
yeah.
and there was other stuff around it.
Yep.
So
So that
maybe
was taking nutrients
it
away
might-
from
yeah,
the pumpkin.
It might have gotten bigger,
Yeah.
but
You were one and done with the pumpkin.
It
thought
might have
was,
hit
like, out of my
60.
mind, you
It
know what
might
I
have
mean?
hit 68.2
yeah, that would have
had
been
you.
Yeah.
But
not
you were one
planted
and done?
tomatoes around it.
That's it. That's it. You need space.
Yeah.
All right, you need space. You need good seed. You need good manure,
Right.
and I had none.
In dedication.
Yeah. And these,
Well, he had the
these
dedication,
people-
obviously.
These guys,
That's all they
the
do.
heavy hitters in Giant Pumpkin,
Yeah.
the world. It's like it's what they do.
That's their life.
Yeah.
For like
They're-
6 months.
You should shoot a documentary
I know.
on
You
giant
should.
pumpkin growing.
No, you know what? This sounds like one of those Christopher Guest.
Yes,
Like
yes.
A Mighty Wind.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, like one of those documentaries.
That's
what
what I
it
was just
sounds like.
thinking.
It's
of.
like that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it
such
really
a
is.
culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
There's a culture around
there's
it,
a
right?
culture, yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, and there's people walking around with a swagger
Because they got a
because
700-pound
they got a
pumpkin.
big pumpkin. They got a giant pumpkin.
And they got a chance at the top 3.
Yeah. See, my year was the first year someone grew one over 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
Now they're over 2,000.
1,000 pounds. Holy shit.
You know what I mean?
2,000. That's a car.
No wonder you
It's a
can
small car.
No wonder you can hollow it out and make it a canoe because it's going to be a flat bottom boat by then.
Oh yeah, you get
A 2,000-pound pumpkin would make 2 canoes. Cut it in half.
Right?
and
No
get
shit.
2 canoes.
I'm telling you.
That's crazy. All right,
It's a
pumpkin
scene,
talk.
man.
I had to ask because I knew
Well, I'm
about
glad
that.
someone asked. I'm
No,
glad you
because I
asked.
remember around that time working with you, and you were like, "I'm like Tony, what have you been up to?" I'm growing a big pumpkin.
So I'm glad you're interested. I mean,
I really am.
and-
I'm not busting balls.
because,
I really am.
No, because I remember one time I was in New York somewhere and I was talking to this girl.
I know he's
And I was
really
telling her-
interested. That's
No,
what makes
I was
That's
telling
what
her
makes
about
it funny.
I was telling her about my my pumpkin experience, right?
I'm like, wait until I lay this info
And-
on her.
Yeah, and she's like, and I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, wow, I screwed.
Maybe
what
I
the
should have
hell?
talked about comedy.
I should have talked about something else, like about her or something. I'm like, yeah, you know.
I don't mean to
so
brag,
that
but I grew a giant pumpkin.
That pumpkin story
Yeah.
didn't draw her in.
Yeah.
You didn't close the deal on the
She,
pumpkin story.
I thought she'd be, would be, going out
ripping her
yeah,
clothes
yeah,
off by the end of that
She'd
story.
be like, I gotta have sex with you right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
I can't.
I gotta have
can't
sex
make,
with him in a pumpkin
Show me-
patch.
I can't make it to the room.
Show me a giant pumpkin.
Yeah, show me. Yeah, exactly. All right. I'm sorry I sidetracked us from the comedy, but
I
was
love it.
truly interested in it because I think the last time I talked to Tony was that time,
Hey.
and he was telling me about the giant pumpkin
lot of
contest.
people-
First time we've had a giant pumpkin conversation. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
You never had a giant pumpkin grower?
No.
on your, podcast?
No, this is a
time.
first.
Yeah.
No. It's probably the last. Because not according to what you're saying, they're probably not funny.
No,
These swagger people.
they
A little full of themselves.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to see. I'd like to come back and win it
Yeah.
and be like, this is for like shitting on me.
That would be that'd be a good idea.
You know what I mean? Comeback story of the year.
Now,
Yeah.
I think you need to. We'll give you some equipment. Go to the Topsfield Fair and interview these people,
Oh my God! Yeah.
and then come back and we'll play it.
Yeah.
Yes, that would actually be funny.
Yes,
Tony Moschetto, man on the street
Yes.
at the Topsfield Fair, interviewing the pumpkin
the
people.
pumpkin growers. What's the
That's
secret
awesome.
to a good giant pumpkin?
Actually, you know
get
what?
their growing tips, everything like
I
that.
brought up David S. Pumpkins. I would buy you that David S. Pumpkins tuxedo. Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
I do. Yeah.
Tom
I would
Hanks.
buy you that just so you could go there as David S. Pumpkins, and we could dress up as the two ghosts on either side. Do the dance. Oh man!
and just ask inane questions like you're asking real questions.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And record their responses.
So yeah, what's the grade manure you use with this? Like, get them really talking about it and really
What's
into
the
it?
nitrate concentration?
Yeah,
in
right?
the manure
Yeah, 'cause
you
they
use
probably
to
know
get them
it.
over 1,000 pounds.
I needed like gamma, like nuclear.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
manure.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
They're exposing it to gamma rays and
Yeah,
X-rays.
gamma
They
and
need
shit.
like Bruce Banner type
Exactly.
fertilizer.
Yeah.
To Hulk it out.
It's
get
a
it-
Hulk
to get it to
pumpkin.
that level.
It stays green.
Yeah.
No orange. So, all right, let's get back to where Scott was. So you took some time off
Yeah, I did.
for about a year and a half. What did you do?
Well, I took more than a year and a half.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I got
What-
back into it about a year and a half.
Oh, you got back into because I thought you were gone for a while,
Yeah.
and I hadn't seen you in a while, and then I started seeing stuff on social media, and I'm
he
like,
wasn't
oh my
growing
God, I don't know if-
pumpkins.
I
No,
wasn't growing pumpkins. I
he
was
was doing his research
I'm,
on it. Though.
I was doing some writing.
Oh, all right.
Cool.
I'm doing. I'm still doing it. I'm doing some scripts.
Plays, TV
Plays,
shows, TV pilots.
Half-hour pilot.
Nice.
I've been writing those. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I. So I kind of did that. I still kind of practiced the jokes or
Yeah.
whatever, writing or whatever. So I was just writing that. And,
Right.
and then.
What
then
made you come back?
Well, I think that creatively,
Mm-hmm.
when you're just writing, you don't get a sense of like what's working and
You miss
whatnot.
that feedback,
Yeah.
that instant gratification that
Yeah.
you talked about earlier.
Exactly. So that's what. Plus, I think I think it goes hand in hand. You write jokes, you write stories. You try to find the funny and whatnot. And so I just came back, just to just to get back and just to flex that muscle again. And
Yeah, yeah.
I think,
Exercise that
you know,
muscle.
It's just creative, and like you said, Ace, like you want to get that feedback. You want to hear people laugh. And,
Right. Yeah, because you know what you're writing on the page is funny, or you think it's funny, but you don't know until you get to late in the process of script writing, the performance part. You don't know if it worked.
Yeah.
You know,
Was it like riding a bicycle again?
coming back to it.
It was, it was pretty.
Because you had done it for a while.
You know, you feel rusty, but you know.
Yeah,
you get
your
back.
timing is probably off a
Yeah.
little bit, but you still have the material.
Yeah.
So, but
I mean, we
if-
kind of all went through that with COVID. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, for a
You were
year, not
forced,
being able to
yeah.
do anything.
Yeah. So yeah, I was I started I was starting to get back into it right before COVID hit,
Yeah.
and then I just kind of waited, and just kind of happened organically, I guess you can say.
Cool.
Yeah.
You know, and now I'm just like on a mission to write epic jokes and really work on my set and
Yeah.
and kind of reinvent myself and
Yeah.
go up there and just see, you know, just for myself
right.
that I know I
So-
can do it.
Are
So-
you doing any of your older material?
that's what
or
I
are
was
you
just gonna
trying to
ask,
write a
too.
totally new act, or are you just trying to write new jokes?
Yeah, you build them
while
from scratch.
still
or-
doing your other, your other stuff.
I still do my tried and true like
Yeah.
other
Right,
stuff,
right.
but I'm just throwing in
Other stuff.
other
Yep.
stuff, and then hopefully I can kind of step away from the older stuff and
right.
You know.
You're trying to build a
You know
new
what
act.
though? It's
Yeah.
funny because I've done that, and now I go back to some other jokes where I'm like, God, why did I cut that joke? Oh, it was only because of time.
Right.
Because when you start, when you're headlining and you get 45, 50 minutes, but you got an hour and a half, 2 hours of material, you're like, God, that was a good joke. Why did I cut that? And
Well,
then every once in a while, you see an opportunity where you're like, oh, this is an older crowd, I'm going to do this. Or this is a younger crowd, I'm going to do this.
When I was at Newport Playhouse there,
Yeah.
I hadn't done a set in like a month because summer's a little slower anyway.
Right.
And I'm closing the show, and I'm going along, and I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot what I put here in the middle, and I pulled out a really old joke I haven't done in several years, and I totally did it differently than I've done ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of like this new direction, and I started recording all my sets again. So I listened back to it, and I'm like, it's taken a new direction. I'm totally changing
Nice.
it because when I wrote it, I was like, 36 years old. Now I'm in my 50s. It's got a
Yeah.
whole new meaning. So I'm writing it from my eyes and my experience now compared to what how I was looking at it then.
Yeah.
So it's completely different than it was. And I find that once in a while I'll think of an old joke and I'm like, it doesn't make sense anymore. But wait a minute, I could kind of do it this way now.
Repurpose it, right.
And kind of repurpose
Yep.
it. Yeah, we talk about that all the time. And then there are just some jokes that don't age well, and you just move on from them, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. You know, it's fun to come up with new stuff. I get excited
told
when I
you.
come up with new stuff.
A couple of years ago, I was doing an open mic for John Parada, and some lady yelled out a joke that like I did when I first started.
Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah, like Roger Rabbit and Elmer Fudd and all these old cartoons. And I'm like, all right, lady, I need help because I remember the joke, but I don't remember everything. So I might look to you every once in a while. And by the end of it, I'm like, yeah, that was fun. I wouldn't bring that one back because again, it didn't age well only because younger kids don't know Jessica Rabbit. They don't know Elmer Fudd. They don't know. I mean, I repurposed Pee Wee Herman into a new joke so that I could still do the impression. And it's weird. Even that was kind of going where it wasn't getting recognized all the time. And now that he passed away, there's been a big resurgence in Pee Wee Herman stuff. So now it's
Things can be
it'll
cyclical,
repurpose. Yeah.
where they'll come back and like I said, sometimes some stuff just
And then, I'm not
Drifts
doing
off.
I'm not doing a Bill Cosby joke anymore.
why not?
No. Because the only Bill Cosby joke I'll do is Norm Macdonald's.
I still reference them.
No.
Yeah, I was talking to Patton Oswalt the other day, and he said that the thing about the Cosby thing, the worst thing about it was the hypocrisy. I'm like, I don't think that was the worst thing. I think it was the raping. It was the raping that was the worst part.
I know. I do that joke every fucking show now. I just love that.
Yeah, it's funny.
That was one of his best.
Because
off
it's
the
his
cu-
cadence and his timing.
the way he
with
says it.
telling
I know.
was just- he could literally read out of a newspaper and I'm gonna laugh.
He did street jokes
Yes.
on like Jay Leno. Street jokes that I used to tell friends, and he would do them, but he would take 15 minutes to tell one joke.
Oh.
And the payoff, because the anticipation was there, the payoff was so big when he delivered the punchline.
The roast of Bob Saget, when he got mad because they were going through his jokes that he wrote, and the producers were telling him like, "Well, we don't want you to do this.
This
we don't
is
want
too
you to do that."
dirty. This is too dirty.
So he threw all his notes away, and he got an old joke book, and he did all these old hacky jokes.
And some of them weren't even jokes. He was like, "Yeah, the thing about Bob Saget is he's really a great guy. Everyone likes him."
Yeah.
And that was it. That was the joke. Because he was just like, you know what?
He's like,
fuck
you know,
this.
this guy's head's really in the clouds. He's for the birds, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, for the birds.
The birds.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
That's why his head's in the clouds. Get it? And he was just, you're like, oh my god. And when he first started doing it, everyone's looking at him like, what the hell is he doing? And he just kept doing it, and it got so funny because he just stayed with it right to the end.
Yeah.
And that's what made him so good. Andy Samberg did something like that on a roast too, where he did terrible, terrible roast jokes. And I love when guys do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What we got some.
We got some. We had someone who was watching, and unfortunately, we were on full screen, so I didn't realize it. But our friend Polly Chaser said, "Hey, future comedy is bleak if the trend we see continues. If the rule becomes that no one can be offended at any point, can comedy still exist?"
Yes. And
yeah, it's getting harder, but then he goes, "I guess they're not looking at Twitch. Fair enough. No alerts either. I tried so hard." So they've started feeling bad. Is this being streamed on other platforms too? Enjoying time on
Are they starting to support each other on here?
No, you know what it is? It's because Polly Chaser knows Tom Bannis.
Oh,
and
okay.
Tom Bannis, as great a guy as he is, he does not produce our show.
Oh, okay.
Like he produces some of the other ones on the Twitch channel that we're on, Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. So Polly Chaser is
Sorry,
saying,
buddy.
I donated, gifted a sub, but there is simply nothing I could do to grab their attention and hopefully get them to address my question. Poor me.
Are they still on?
Polly Chaser, are you still on? Polly Chaser. Tom is a twat for not being here. No, so Tom Bannis is the guy that kind of started this whole Twitch channel called Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling.
Yeah.
We know Tom through other comics from New York, Richie Byrne and
Mark Riccadonna.
I don't know if you've ever worked with those guys.
No.
Awesome guys. They have a show called Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. And so they started this Twitch channel, and they invited us to be on it. But we're not always good. Like some weeks we don't get any questions.
Yeah.
So I go into full screen mode. I can't see the comments, and then all of a sudden I go, "Oh, I wonder if we have any comments." I come off full screen, and there's like 27 comments from Polly Chaser.
So when Ace is
So we're
doing show
sorry.
production.
I'm sorry, Polly Chaser. We love you. Thank you so much for supporting, and we will see if we can get Tom Bannis to come on and produce our show for us. But one of you answered not agreeing with my
What's the
comment. Oh, the question was
About
future comedy being bleak. So yes, you disagreed.
I do. We
Scott.
talked about it with Craig Shoemaker last week.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like Craig said, you just don't back down. You know what I mean? Like he has his T-shirts unwoke as fuck.
Yeah.
And you just walk out there, and if people are going to get offended, let them get offended. Don't come to comedy shows as long as you're not pushing hate. As long as you're not pushing, violence and stuff like that. If someone's going to get offended over something stupid, fuck them. You know what I mean? It is what it is. We're not purposely going out trying to upset
hurt people, right?
You know what I mean? We're there to try to entertain, but if we say something that, and you've had it before where someone comes up to you about offending Jesus, and we've all
'Cause
had
of my
something
religion
silly.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? It is what it is. I can't worry about
But
every single person in that audience because every one of us is going to say something that might offend one person in that audience.
But I think we've also talked about this, and Polly Chaser, I don't know if you've ever seen when we talk about this on the show. One of the issues, though, is a big venue for comics nowadays is fundraisers. I mean, we always did fundraisers, but that seems to be a really big,
Different animal, though.
And that's why, because at fundraisers, you are getting people who may never step foot in a comedy club.
And they're
You
not
know those
there for the
people-
comedy show either.
You know those people that don't have a sense of humor?
Yeah.
There's just people that don't have a sense of humor. They don't like funny. Sometimes those are the people coming to a fundraiser because they just want to support the organization.
Yeah.
But they don't realize there's going to be a comedy show, or they don't think about the fact that they don't have a sense of humor, and then they're offended by what's in the show. As benign as the show can be,
Yeah.
they're still offended, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think live comedy. I don't see the. I haven't really seen anyone walk out or be offended
Yeah.
or anything like that.
No.
I think it's just. I think that's that whole like people like offending people. I
Yeah.
think that's just a symptom of like social media and
Right.
Yes.
and all that stuff. Because I think you can still go out and say what you want to say. I don't believe
It
that.
depends, though, because like we got a buddy. I don't know if you've ever worked with Brad Pierce. He's a somewhat newer comic here in
Yeah.
Rhode Island, maybe 7, 8 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Brad is one of those guys that is fearless on stage, and he does very little material. He truly does crowd work.
Yeah.
He's not, and you know, if you're going to commit to doing crowd work, you got to commit to doing crowd work, and you have to commit to just being totally naked out there and just go for it. And you're going to say things sometimes that are going to offend people.
Yeah. Well,
You
what
know?
I'm trying to say is the crowd's going to dictate. They're going to let you know what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think that's still in play. I think that the other thing, like what you say, talking about worrying about offending people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that you have to say, I think the audience is going to dictate what works and what doesn't work for you. Like
Right.
that's
Yeah,
how it should
yeah.
be. And I think that that's how it should be. And I think that's still kind of
Yeah. They're going to let
happens.
you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes they let you know in a very loud way.
yeah. And
You
you
know.
should you should
figure it out.
Yeah, that's how.
But so Polly Chaser said, given that people's lives get ruined as we speak for wrong speak, like some people who've been canceled and shit like that for
I think
you know.
a lot of the people that have gotten canceled deserve it.
some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's still like, like Louis C.K. didn't really get like he still did comedy afterwards. It's
Yeah.
not- I don't think he really missed a beat that much.
Well, and I think it depends on how you say it. I think the problem is when people see Louis C.K. or Matt Rife doing crowd work where he's busting balls, or I was just trying to think of someone that looked like they might have gotten canceled. But Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Like Bill will say something that is so provocative, but then he litigates after, and by the end of it, you're like, how can you argue that point? When he does the whole, feminist joke about feminists getting on people about women not getting paid the same in women's sports, and he's like, no one goes to the game. You want to support them, have more people go to the game, they'll get more advertisers, they'll make more money. It's logical. But the problem is some newer people will try that provocativeness, and it blows up in their face because they don't have the skills that Bill has built.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
But like he's like Chappelle's he's not gonna get hurt. He knows how to defend himself like that.
Exactly.
Right.
But there's like, sadly, when there's an audience for like stuff like that. If you're like
They're right.
on the
Right.
right, like on the right, like
Yeah.
these people, like it's just
Far right or
you know what
far
I mean?
left.
So
you're right.
you're still gonna get a group of people to come out and see you, no matter what you do. So I think that's why, like,
And Ricky Gervais said it one time. He goes, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right.
Right.
exactly, yeah.
And that's what Polly Chaser says, the last comment. No one deserves to be canceled for an opinion that someone disagrees with. As
I
long as it's not, like Scott
absolutely
said,
agree with
hate
that.
speech or,
Right.
I agree.
You
So
know, I have a joke that I do about having 3 daughters, and people come up to me all the time and they say, "Oh my God, 3 daughters, you're gonna have 3 weddings to pay for," and I'm like, "Really? It's 2023. There's no guarantee they'll all stay girls."
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
I had someone come up to me one time and say to me that I was transphobic for saying that.
Yeah.
Really? Because I say after that, I go, and I don't care. I've told them, whoever you are in your heart, your soul, be that person. I love you unconditionally.
Yeah.
And if that person that you are in your heart and soul saves me money, that's a fucking bonus right there. You know, and I even try to soften the blow with it because I don't want people to be offended. And someone said that that's transphobic.
It's subjective. It's like
I don't
Polly
stop
Chaser
doing it
said
because
earlier.
of it.
It's you know,
I'm
comedy.
still going to do it.
Comedy is
All right.
subjective.
I'm not going to cancel you, Scott.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit. I don't
Yeah.
give a
I'm
shit.
not gonna-
No, but I'm just
No.
saying that,
Yeah.
you know, because one person didn't like it,
Yeah.
I'm not going to change everything. Now,
It's like
if
the lady
every,
that said I offended God. I'm
Right.
like, no, I
Now-
didn't offend God. I offended you. But
if every
God made me, and He
But
made
if-
my sense of humor.
You know what?
So
but if every show you did, you had multiple people saying it to you,
right,
you got
I
to look
get
at it differently.
Yeah,
I'm going to say
I would stop doing churches.
fucking Polly with this question. We're talking about giant pumpkins. We're having a good time.
Totally derailed
All
our
of a sudden
pumpkin
we were
conversation.
talking, you know. So now we're getting.
Now we're getting-
I might need
I
more
don't know.
bourbon if we keep
I
on
know.
this because it
No,
gets
no,
me tense.
I wanted to switch gears because we kind of touched base on it. But what are some wow moments for you in your career? Like people you got to open for, people you got to work with, or
Places,
stages
maybe.
that you've been able to get on. I know you just did the Hampton Beach Comedy Festival
Yeah.
for Jimmy Dunn, and you know, and that's like a tight knit, you know, small group of people that get to do that. So
Yeah, that
was that
was-
fun?
Yeah, it was all right.
Uh-oh. How
was
did the
good.
set go?
I didn't bomb. You know.
All right, yeah.
So, I did. I had a solid. I think I did
A solid
a solid set. But
Yeah.
I'm my own worst critic. Just so you know.
Yeah.
we all. are.
I just
all
I
are.
never have a good set. You know. I kind
Yeah,
of.
Right.
Your
I
best
kinda-
compliment on yourself is I did okay.
I did all right.
Yeah.
You know?
All right.
I remember I'm a failed comedian.
Yeah.
Like I said before.
Who
No.
came back?
No, it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was. I'm trying to think of like. I had. Let me see. I did. I did a show. I opened for Kathy Griffin. Down
Okay.
in the Cape.
Did she have the
At
trumpet
the
with her?
Melody tent?
The Melody, Melody or Cohasset. I did Cohasset, and that was fun. Like that, I think the Cohasset show was like, it was really solid. You know, it was I got like genuine laughs. You know,
Yeah.
So that was fun. I'm trying to think of some other. The first time I ever did the Laugh Factory,
Oh, wow.
that was I had a really killer set. You know, it was kind of like out of my mind.
Yeah.
You know, the when you're really in the zone.
Were you opening up for Kramer?
Yeah, I witnessed that. I told him no.
Yeah, I witnessed.
I witnessed. No, I.
He said, "Hey, if someone heckles me, what should I say?"
Yeah,
Right.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
And you gave him that line.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you gave him that line. Yeah.
right.
And that's why he really took time off.
Yeah. That was my fault. Sorry.
So Polly Chaser is not letting this go. He still wants to know justification on your comment about someone who deserved to be
Oh,
canceled.
my comment?
Yeah, yeah. When you said, but some of them deserve to be canceled.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anyone in particular that you thought of? I mean, you know, let's face it, Cosby deserved to be canceled.
Yeah,
but
Cosby.
but Cosby, it wasn't because he was on stage doing something. It
Well,
was
I
because he
mean,
was in his basement doing something or
I'm
backstage.
gonna say no one's really canceled.
Yeah,
You know, you could say Roseanne, maybe.
yeah,
You
Yeah,
know,
who out there
maybe-
really got truly canceled?
You know, no one
Well,
really did.
Roseanne, I mean, Roseanne lost her show, like
She
you
lost
said.
her show.
But you know, the sad thing that people don't realize is she had a massive head injury. She was in an accident where she had a massive head injury, and I know people who have had this similar injury. The filter, I talk about it in my act about comics not having the filter. She truly does not have a filter of what she's thinking to what she's saying, and she
that's-
says stupid shit.
But that's also a different situation. That wasn't just her on stage saying
Right,
something.
no.
You know, she was working for a corporation.
right.
You know, so
It's tough. Right?
I mean, Tracy Morgan got a bunch of shows canceled after he made a joke on stage that somebody found offensive, and they started
again, head injury.
going after the promoter, and the promoter canceled a bunch of his shows. And
Yeah.
I thought that
Yeah.
was wrong. I agree. That one, he didn't deserve that one.
No.
You know, but
Well,
somebody that outright
Maybe
deserves it.
maybe it's the bourbon talking. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like thinking about it, it's
Chris
like,
D'Elia deserves to be canceled,
Chris
but not
D'Elia
because of
deserves
anything
to
he
be-
said
right.
on stage.
That's the thing. Yeah. So I don't know
Kevin
anyone
Spacey?
that's really been canceled because of something they said on stage in comedy.
No.
I guess the closest you could say is Louis C.K. But again,
It was off stage.
it was off
It was
stage,
offstage.
and he
didn't
admitted
really-
to it. Right.
He embraced it.
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, and like you said, or like we said, he didn't really get canceled.
Right. Right.
No,
No one
he
really
walked up
did.
on stage and talked about it.
Yeah.
He
So-
he totally took that away from the haters and the people that were going to complain
Right.
by going right up on stage and talking about it.
Yeah.
He put it in a special where he talked about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
so
and
good.
was-
You know.
why would anyone be surprised about Louis C.K.? I mean, he literally did a monologue about pedophilia.
He's-
and old men pedophiles.
Yeah.
As his monologue on SNL.
But it didn't.
I know.
I'm trying to think of the only person that I'm trying to think of anybody that said something on stage that really stopped him.
I mean, if you think about from a left wing side, Kathy Griffin kind of got canceled for a little while because of the whole holding
Yeah.
it. But again, it was off stage, but it was on social media holding
Yeah.
a beheaded Trump.
That wasn't
she
wasn't
got-
left wing. That was right wing that shut her down.
No, exactly. But she is left wing.
Oh,
what I'm
okay,
saying
yeah,
is, you'll see right wing folks,
And you see it both
Yeah,
ways.
and
Don't
that's
get me
what I
wrong.
mean.
You
You'll
get
see
it both ways.
right?
It's whatever they choose to be. What's his name? Chris Rock special. Selective outrage.
Yeah.
I love that title because
Yep.
that's what today's
That's
day
exactly
and age
what
is.
it
Selective
is, right.
outrage. Whatever. I'm going to choose something that's going to piss me off today.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like you said, how many times will people take something totally out of context because they just hear a word?
Yep.
He had a joke about a rape whistle, but because rape is in the word, rape is in the title, some lady gave him shit, and it had nothing to do with rape. It really,
It's me not understanding what
he
a
made
rape
himself
whistle
the butt of
really-
the joke.
Wait a
Really
minute.
was.
You did this? Is your
Yeah.
one of your
Yeah.
jokes?
And I
Yeah.
don't do it anymore.
So you do jokes about rape and trans people? Come on, Scott.
Yeah.
That's only the first.
We should cancel him.
We gotta
That's
cancel.
all-
Turn
that's
his
only
mic
the-
off. Turn his mic off.
Hey, but I don't do anything about raping trans people.
That's true.
I don't take it that far.
That's good.
Because I told you not to do that
Right,
joke.
right.
And you
I-
read it to me.
I shut.
Paul,
I
is
shut.
Pauly okay with the answer?
Yeah, for the
all right?
most part. You just want a justification
I don't
on
know. I
it.
don't-
You said it. I'd like some backup on it.
I
but
just don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know if anybody really, truly, totally canceled for something they said on stage.
on
Most
stage,
of the time,
exactly.
They're
it's
off.
it's off stage behavior, right?
behavior
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that got them canceled.
Yeah, it's always something they did in the past.
Right.
But the thing is, like, no one truly got canceled, though. That's the thing. That's the thing. Right?
From
Like,
They,
really,
they got. They may have gotten slowed down for a little bit,
Yeah.
but they always.
well, even Chris D'Elia is back on tour. You know,
Carlos Mencia.
Carlos
when he had all
Mencia.
the accusations of stealing material,
I know.
right?
he
and
lost
the YouTube
his show.
and the YouTube video of Joe Rogan going up on stage
Right,
and,
yeah.
and getting in his face about it.
And then Mark Maron did his podcast where he asked him straight out and pretty much got him to admit that, yeah, he did take material.
Yeah.
And he lost a bunch of dates and everything, but he's touring again.
Yeah.
Plus, why is everyone so worried about other people getting canceled or offending? You know what I mean? Like, that's like to go
I
back
think
to what
because
Pauly's question. You know,
but
it's like-
Pauly's point is that it's just it's simply about the principle: you either have free speech or you don't. And for a comic, yeah, you're right.
But-
as long as you're not yelling fire in the comedy club.
But I also think that people misunderstand what free speech truly is. Free speech is not free from consequences.
True. Yeah. You
Yes, you
say
can
it.
say what you want, but there may be
Without-
consequences.
Yeah.
You know, Bill Hicks said it best. He said, "If you don't like it, like change the channel."
Right.
Well, that's
right.
what our
Or
parents
turn
did.
it off. Right, yeah,
Exactly.
When we were
that's how it
growing
should
up.
be, right?
Yeah.
Right. If my
You know?
parents didn't want me to hear something, they turned it down or turned
Yeah.
it off.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't stop the world from hearing it.
That's
All
true.
right. So we want to be respectful of your time, and especially the fact that you drove an hour and a half. Where are you? Salisbury, Mass?
No, I'm in Woburn.
Woburn. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. That's close.
Yeah.
It's only
That's only an hour and
a half.
10.
Yeah. No. Well, at this time of night, it's not bad. When I was covering Woburn for my day job,
Yeah.
it was like 2 hours to get there
Right.
during the day.
Yeah. So
from
we,
here.
we should get to the our favorite question.
Okay.
So we like to wrap up the show by asking our guest about a funny bad gig story. And that's the gig that wasn't funny the night of.
Yeah.
It was horrible and made you want to quit comedy, maybe step away for a year and a half
Sure,
or
yeah.
for a while. But the further away you get from it, you're in the green room with people and everyone's telling these war stories. And you're like, oh, you think that's bad?
Hold my bourbon.
Hold my bourbon.
Yeah. I have many stories like
Well,
that.
of course, if you've been doing comedy more than 6 months, you've got at least
Since
three.
'91, you got to have one or two in the
Yeah,
arsenal.
so one comes to mind. I was working. It was a Dick Doherty gig. All right, so that tells you.
Rest
Randolph,
in peace, Dick.
Randolph.
The Holiday Inn.
the Holiday Inn in
Yep.
Randolph.
I did that one.
And we were that the showroom. They split it. There was like a. They put like a curtain up.
Yep.
And we were in the far right. And usually, like, we were in the middle in the whole room, but we were in the far right, and then on the other side was like people and doing a party or whatever, right? So you kind of had that noise.
And that whole curtain
Yeah.
to
No,
divide the
curtain.
room.
It
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
the divider walls
No,
that they
it was
use
a curtain.
nowadays. It was
No,
Yeah.
it was
literally
a
a
curtain,
curtain.
which made it was.
Yeah.
It was a shower
it was
curtain.
shit, right?
Yeah.
So I was hosting. There was a guy in the front row, and he was like one of those wheelchairs, but he was like he was laying down, and he had one of those respirators.
Oh, shit.
Right, so you could hear him breathing.
It's like
Right?
Darth Vader in the front.
Right.
Or a CPAP.
So
Shut up.
Sorry.
So I'm hosting. I'm kind of struggling a little bit. You know, I'm really working my ass off. And this table kind of in the middle were like, give me shit. And I said something to him to piss him off.
Yep.
Basically, I zinged the guy. And I could tell the way he was scowling at me. I'm like, I go, don't scowl at me, you know. And all of a sudden, this lady, this is probably about maybe 5-7 minutes into the set, maybe around that time.
And
right?
you have to host.
I'm hosting, right?
So if you piss
So
them
it's
off,
about
you got to
7
go back
yeah.
up.
So this lady in the back of the room, at the top of her lungs, like an ungodly scream, shut the fuck up. You're not funny. Get off the fucking stage. We
Welcome
fucking,
to Randolph,
right?
Mass.
Yelling. And then I see Dick Doherty sprint in and get in her face. Shut the fuck up. Right? And they're like
yeah.
a manager and a, you know,
Umpire.
An umpire
Going-
right in each other's faces.
going at it. And I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck, right?
How do you recover from that?
And then, so he wants to throw her out. She refuses to leave,
Yep.
right?
Oh my God.
So she doesn't leave. She sits down. Dick walks out, and I'm sitting there. All you hear is. That's all you hear. Like, it's totally silent except for this guy.
Except for this guy's respirator.
Except this guy, and I'm trying to do jokes, you know, and it's just like no laughs. It's just
No.
It would have been funny if the guy went, I am your father.
yeah.
You are
man.
not funny.
That was, yeah. So that was
Imagine
my-
getting heckled by him.
Yeah.
Tony, you are not funny.
Your lack of humor pisses me off.
Angers me.
Oh my God.
Man. So
Oh,
it was
Dick
crazy, man.
had some interesting rooms over the years.
Yeah.
That was insane.
He had some great ones.
Yeah.
The ones that were a lot of fun, but man, he had some other ones.
I think to his credit, he said, yeah, you can leave if you want. You don't have to.
You don't have to finish the show.
You don't have to go back up
Yeah,
there, basically.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'll go finish.
but that was,
Wow.
that was insane.
Yeah, that's like, listen, why don't you get a head start? Because the audience wants to kill you.
Yeah. I didn't hang out that night.
Yeah.
I wasn't hanging out after the show that night.
Right.
I hightailed it out.
The other comics are
quick.
texting you going, dude, where'd you go? We went out.
Oh my god.
We went to Chi-Chi's after for the open mic.
you should see they had this plaque from this Lord guy that won a contest.
Yeah. Back to Chi-Chi's.
Oh, man.
And again, we've talked about it 1,001 times on here. The weird situations that
we're put in.
comedians end up in, that
Yeah.
were put in over the years.
Yeah.
You know, we've heard great stories of, they put us at birthday parties when people aren't expecting you, and just weird locations and other stuff.
Sports
and,
bars when it's the Bruins playoffs or the Celtics playoffs, and they go,
Yeah.
don't worry, we're going to mute it. Oh, yeah, that'll help.
Yeah, it's like they won't even bother to turn the TV off.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
God forbid.
Exactly.
That's actually kind of where this question came from, because early on, like season 1, we did a show with John Perrotta and Mike McCarthy, and we tried to come up with a list of 10 things of, as a comic, it's going to be a bad gig when any of these things is going on. Like, it's a surprise.
Well,
it's at a sports bar.
What started with is we were comparing bad gig stories, and we
Right.
noticed that there
was a
categories
common
that
thread,
a
yeah.
lot of these things fall
Yeah.
into, and a lot of them were John Perrotta gigs. But no,
and we love
you,
John.
Well, I did the
Ramada Inn in Seekonk.
no. It was something the
See, we just said that like we were in therapy.
Oh, that's sad.
the Greenwich Gentlemen's Club
Oh, where's that?
in Greenwich.
Greenwich, Connecticut?
No, Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Oh, East Greenwich? No.
It was something like that. It was like a biker bar, basically.
Oh, all right.
It was a Perrotta.
Perrotta gig?
He does a few different biker
Maybe
bars.
I don't know. He was on the show. I don't know if he booked it or not, but he killed. I went up after him, and oh man, I was eating it so bad. This guy gets on the table, just jumps up on the table and starts doing the Pee Wee Herman dance.
I can beat that.
And I was like,
I was doing a bachelor party at a biker bar where, in the middle of my set, a guy shot a gun into the ceiling.
oh,
And at first I thought it was a blank until I saw plaster fall from the
Fall
ceiling.
from the
and
ceiling.
you're like, good night.
And I was like, sir, if that's the way that you heckle, you win.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything to that. And
I got
Yeah.
no comeback for a
yeah,
gun.
you
Nope.
win.
Other than me running my ass out the door.
And no one blinked an eye, right?
No one acted like
the rest
anything.
of them, they're like,
No.
that's Sully. He's fucking crazy.
No one acted like anything
Yeah.
happened. So I honestly didn't say anything when it happened. When I heard the gunfire, because I've heard guns fire before,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I just stopped for a second. I see the plaster fall, and I said, "You don't say anything in this situation." I'm saying in my head,
Yeah.
there's nothing to be said there.
No.
So I just plowed ahead. Finished my set, and I brought up Eddie Galvin was doing it with me.
Oh no,
I brought up Eddie.
Hey, tell funny jokes.
is he still doing it?
He's still doing it.
Awesome.
Yep.
And he gets up and he goes, "You ever notice they say it says stuff on the side of police cars now?"
Yeah, yeah.
And he immediately they love him.
They love him,
Yeah.
right.
And I was like, "All right, Eddie, the perfect person to have on this gig with me
Yep,
tonight." Because
exactly.
they loved him immediately. And I sat at the bar, and the guy comes up to me at the end. He goes, "You didn't even twitch when I shot my gun." And I went, "You had a gun? I thought that was a cap pistol." And his friends start giving him
Busting his
shit and
balls.
everything. I was like, "Oh my god, thank God I got out of that alive." I was so fucking scared that I was going to get killed, because you had to like knock a special way to get into this club. It was a private club.
one of
They
those.
locked the door behind us.
Yeah.
Yeah, guess who booked it?
John Perrotta.
How'd you know?
John? I love John. Like John said, brother, I'll book a show at a bus stop.
But I won't book the gazebo.
at Garden City. Mary Ellen DiPetrillo was on and said that she did a gig for Dave DiLorenzo, God rest his soul. He booked a gazebo in an outdoor shopping mall area in
They have a
Cranston, Rhode Island.
gazebo in
It's
the
a
middle of the
gazebo where
parking lot.
they'll have bands there
Yeah.
and stuff in the summer. But he booked a comedy show, and Mary Ellen's like, people
my
are walking
God.
by it. It was horrible.
They're looking at you like, "What the hell are you
Perrotta
doing?"
was like,
Yeah.
brother, I'll book anywhere. I'll book a bus stop, but I won't book that gazebo. I'm saying no to that.
That's hilarious. Funny.
Man,
So-
we can't thank you enough for being on. This was fun. We
thanks,
knew
uh,
it was going to be a fun hang
Thanks
with you
for being-
anyway.
Yeah, I know.
What you
So-
mentioned website earlier? What's your website?
TonyMoschetto.com.
Not Lord. That's good.
No, that's my social media.
Okay.
Lord Moschetto at Lord Moschetto across the.
Across all the platforms.
TonyMoschetto.com and
Yeah.
Lord
Lord
Moschetto.
Moschetto,
If you go to today's show notes, you'll see both of those links in there, so you can follow Tony, see where he's going to be playing out. Definitely go check him
Gotta
out.
see him.
Very,
He's so
very
funny.
funny comic.
Yeah.
see where he's playing. Go check him out.
Hopefully, I proved it tonight a little bit, but maybe you have to come and see me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not about performing. This is about the hanging out and getting to know you
Exactly.
and everything.
Drinking some bourbon.
Yeah,
Yes.
drinking some bourbon and
stuff.
going behind the funny. That's truly, we want to know what goes on behind the funny.
In the acement.
In the acement.
In the
That's
acement.
right. One of our guests named it. And then we had another friend make a logo, and there it is. It's all
Very
fancy.
nice.
You like
Very
that?
good. Very
Yeah.
professional.
We're professional. We try to.
The Twitch.
Yeah, we're on Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling. We're on Facebook Live, and then we're on all the podcast platforms a week after.
Yeah,
So, folks.
definitely, continue to download us, Spotify, Apple, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. And if you are listening and you haven't done so, a great way to help us out. It costs you nothing but a little bit of time, maybe 30 seconds. Give us that 5-star written review. It's a great way to help us grow the podcast,
Yes.
get more people to discover us, and help us grow the podcast even bigger.
Beautiful.
And we've got an amazing couple of months coming up. So next week we've got our buddies from the Mixtape Podcast in
That's gonna
Ohio.
be a lot of fun.
We are going to have a blast. We are actually going to talk about Pee Wee Herman, and because they do a podcast all about like growing up in the 80s and 90s, and obviously Pee Wee's Playhouse was such a huge
His
part.
movies,
the
Playhouse,
movies, the
everything.
TV show,
Huge.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the passing of Pee Wee Herman and Paul Rubens. I can't do it. And then the following week, we have the long-awaited episode. So we've had our buddy Brian Mulhern on here a bunch of times.
We've had him
and we've
his
had
wife,
him
Carla.
and his wife. But you know what? We've done a couple of these shows where we've done the woman behind the man behind the funny. And so we had Mike Murray's wife on. We've had who else have we had? We had someone else, someone's wife. But we've had Carla on with Brian, and she keeps saying, I want my own show because I want to not get cut off by him. I want to be able to say my shit without him cutting me off.
Oh, boy.
So
She's
we've
got
got
her night.
Carla coming in.
We're having that classy game on.
That's right. She likes to talk from the 40s.
She's gonna get all
She's
gussied
gonna
up.
get all gussied up.
Come in like
And
a
then-
classy dame does.
And then the following week, we've got a couple of newer comics. But we've done this That's What She Said episodes with
yeah,
comics.
they're a lot of
We've
fun.
had Mary Ellen DiPetrillo and Maya Mannion on. We've had a couple of these. And so we thought it would be cool to get some. We had Karen Leochi and, oh my God, who was on with Karen?
Kyle Cody.
Kyle Cody. So they were newer comics. We like to do episodes with some newer comics just to talk about what is it like breaking in now? What is it like getting in the open mics? You know, just the whole scene right now as a starting comic. And so we have two newer comics, female comics, Lauren Sims and Joanna Raposa, coming on in a few weeks. And then, folks, we roll into my favorite time of the year, Scottober.
Scottober.
You gonna sing?
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Scott shits his pants on every episode because he's a big puss. It's the most wonderful time of the year. How's that?
Not bad.
Good.
Not bad. Your
So-
voice is almost back. But you know what? This is going to be an interesting year because we have the Conjuring House investigation we did to talk about with Ken coming on. Cody and Satori are coming back. And they're going to bring another fucking doll. I guarantee it. They do every
Scott,
year.
I have some news. Breaking news right now. So, Ken DaCosta will be on the first episode of Scottober, where we will talk about the Conjuring House investigation. We'll also talk a little bit about the recent investigation that I was on, where I had a night off. I stopped in, and shit was happening at the Payne House down the street from my house. There's actually a haunted location right down the street from here. We did that was our first paranormal investigation we did last summer.
You guys do paranormal stuff?
Yes.
You do?
The whole month of October.
You know what? I know. I just saw your MUFON shirt.
Yeah.
He's got the I Know MUFON. You know what MUFON is?
No.
It is the Mutual UFO Network. And it literally is a network with all UFO documentaries on it.
The whole month of October. We started
It's
with
all
one
paranormal.
episode
Well,
of paranormal,
If
and
you wanna
now
I'm an investigator. I investigate UFO sightings.
Well, you know what?
there you go.
We had one spot open in Scottober. We're going to
Oh, yeah?
have you back
Yeah,
to
we'll talk
talk about
UFOs.
that
Yeah.
whole side of it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll have Tony back. But I don't know if you can see on the board, Scott.
I see a star next to Cody and Satori.
Yeah, Cody and Satori, as you guys know, have they have the Paranormal Museum
Yes.
where they have all these haunted artifacts, much like the Warrens have in their house.
Yeah.
So Cody is a cancer survivor and a member of TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal
Yes.
Society. Satori is the daughter of Jason Hawes
From Ghost Hunt.
from Ghost Hunters.
Okay.
And so that's another episode. We do have Jason coming on with some of the Ghost Hunters folks.
Awesome.
I was texting with him last night. But if you notice the little star, so Cody and Satori have had this haunted museum, but it's been more of a traveling museum. They bring their artifacts to different places.
Are we going there?
And so last year and
Why
the
are you
past
turning
2
away from
years,
me? Are we fucking
'cause
going
we're not-
there?
He's like a little.
why are
kid.
you sweaty?
I
Wow.
just got a hot flash.
So they have brought artifacts here.
Don't turn your fucking back to me.
But they have secured an actual site for their paranormal museum.
Wow.
And it is the barn on the property of the Conjuring House. So we're going to be taking a road trip to the actual museum when it's open.
Nice. Hear that, Scott?
Scott doesn't like that.
Did anyone ever tell us he looks like
I
Kelsey
stay-
Grammer a little bit?
Kelsey Grammer now, he used to look like Macaulay Culkin when he was
Okay,
younger.
all right.
But you know what? That brings me to something, and I know we're going way off track, folks. I'm sorry.
We were doing a
But
second podcast
I was looking
now.
at your picture. Like when I came in, I was thrown off because you shaved your head.
Yeah.
When you had it like grown out.
Yeah.
Anyone ever tell you look like Patrick Warburton?
Uh,
Putty from
Yeah,
from Seinfeld. Like you should work on an impression of that because all you need to do is just do the squint and go, yeah, what's going on, Elaine?
my well, there you go. Let me see.
Oh, hey, Peter.
Hey, Peter.
We're gonna work on it.
I
I'm
gotta
gonna
work on it, yeah.
coach you to get it.
Someone, my ex girlfriend from a long time ago said
Yeah.
I look like Putty.
Putty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking when the picture that I pulled for the podcast was from I think it was the Steve Katzo show,
Oh,
and
that's a long time ago.
you
Yeah.
looked like him there,
Yeah.
definitely.
Wow.
But all right, folks, sorry. So we're gonna have a great Scottober. We're gonna have Tony back on to talk about his other side, and this all started because a friend of ours, a fellow comic, Tom Stewart. I don't know if you've worked with Tom. He's out of Fairhaven, Mass. He was a paranormal investigator.
Oh yeah.
And we had him on one time. He brought in all these EVPs, and Scott got scared, and that only made me want to do it more.
Yeah.
So now we dedicate the whole month of October to Scott.
One of
and
our
paranormal.
listeners, Jen,
Yes.
named it Scottober.
Nice.
So
That's good.
But
That's
we
great.
have
Ace gets so excited. He starts when Scottober this year ends. He'll already start
I'm
planning.
already
next
reaching out
year.
to people for next year.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah, he's already
Yeah.
all over it.
Last year we had Andrea Perrin on. She was the woman who was the oldest daughter
In the Conjuring
in
House.
the Conjuring House. So
Oh, yeah?
the movie,
Yeah.
that family, she's the actual oldest daughter from that family.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so we had her on last year, but we have talked to Tom about UFOs because it does lie within the paranormal.
Yeah.
but we've
He's
never
had
had an actual UFO guest on. So
He's
this
had
is-
some
this would be
experiences
fun.
that he's talked about, so we should have Tom on with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, Tom is our co-host.
He's doing it again.
He's
this year?
gonna.
Oh,
well,
good,
he said
good.
he was going to be our co-host for the whole month. So we'll
Awesome.
definitely have you back on to talk about that. So I'm sorry I derailed and we went way over, but
Yeah,
but folks,
folks, Ace is not known for that. So
no,
that's kind of
yeah, neither are you. Yeah. Okay.
But thank you so much for joining us, guys. We've had some great episodes.
Yes.
We have enjoyed ourselves. Hopefully, you guys enjoy yourselves as much. We appreciate all your support. You guys have been awesome. Had a great comment through Spotify this week on last week's episode, so I appreciate that. They said it was a lot of fun.
Oh, awesome. That was
on
the Craig Shoemaker.
the Bob Nelson one.
Oh, Bob Nelson.
Bob Nelson one. And Bob was a sweetheart of a guy, so
Awesome.
we appreciate that. So, guys, keep tuning in every week. And,
Polly Chaser, thank you for interacting tonight.
Yeah,
we
that-
do
some-
appreciate
yeah,
when
thanks, Polly.
when people come on and interact. We
And-
really do.
and-
I'm sorry I didn't see the comments right away.
No, he made some great points,
Yeah.
a great conversation, so we appreciate that.
And other than that, folks, we will see you
Next week.